What's up, everybody? Welcome to the General Manager midseason edition of How We Fixed the Yankees. What's up, Scott? How you feeling?
I'm feeling okay. Feeling okay. Got some had some detours since coming back with Mr. Kempster. Turns out he got COVID. We had a whole thing going on with that. Got that COVID flag again. I feel like I haven't thought about COVID in a long time, to be honest. And then when they were like, "Oh, he's got COVID," I'm like, "Oh, cool. What does that mean now? What does this mean today? I don't even know.
What do we do now?
What does it look like?"
You're like Ricky Bobby. What do I do with my hands now? What do I do?
They told us this after he had some numbers. He's got different numbers than other kids when he's hooked up to when they're getting vitals from him, right? Like he just runs differently as far as like the baseline numbers. And when you take to certain places to get, because we thought he had like bronchitis or strep throat or something like that, and then all the flags get raised, and then you get sent to wherever, usually an emergency room somewhere, and that's what happened. And then they come back with the COVID diagnosis, which at the end of the day, actually, you're like, okay, we know what it is. You know what I mean? Like, and It's not what it used to be, but immediately like hazmat suits, doors closed, like the actual door, not the curtain. There's a door, which I didn't even know was there. And then they let us go. I'm like, all right,
get out of here. It's just COVID.
I kind of talked my way out of it. I'm like, we really don't want to stay. Like we've done this before. We're good. Can we just leave? And they let us leave. So he heals faster at home than in the hospital with something like this.
Sure, I bet. Well, hope he's feeling better. Yeah, hope everyone's feeling better. You guys have been through a rough.
It's been
a weird summer.
A weird couple days, but we're good. And the GM plans, I'm excited for this before the season, mid-season. These are always fun to put your fantasy baseball cap on and start toying around with the rosters. Before we get to that, though, what did you think of the All-Star game and the Derby and all that? How much of it did you catch, first of all?
So I've caught more of the Derby than I did the All-Star game because Tuesday night I was just busy with a bunch of other stuff and wasn't really able to watch it. I missed the days when I really got excited about the Derby. Yeah. And that's like, I know it's not just the fact that I'm now 36 years old and like when I was 12 years old, of course I'm going to like the home run Derby better, but it's just like, I don't know, like the camera angle, like didn't make anything seem impressive. I just feel like that ballpark specifically, I feel like there was like a high camera angle, so every ball kind of looked like it didn't go very far. And I miss the days of like Mark McGwire launching balls over the Coca-Cola signs at Fenway Park or Josh Hamilton launching balls to the back of the upper deck at Yankee Stadium. It's just like, I don't know,
it's a big stadium too, right? So the big stadiums absorb the home run derbies a lot more. So I think just naturally they look more unimpressive because there's a lot going on in the outfield. There's a lot of fans out there. So they do just kind of absorb it. And you had some guys that weren't huge home run hitters either that were like Jose Ramirez, who I love. Everybody knows, you've listened to this show for any amount of time, you know how much I love Jose Ramirez, and I wish the Guardians were struggling right now so I could have made a trade for him for another year, but...
Nah, he's a Guardian for life. He signed like a friendly deal there and everything.
I know. It broke my heart. It really did, because I think he's one of the best baseball players in...
Was this like the best quality hitter home run derby where you're like, I just want that lineup. Like, just give me those guys in the lineup.
Well, they were talking about with him, or like, I don't know if he's going to be able to get that bonus. He's got to hit it 425 feet. I'm like... It's a home run derby. I'm pretty sure everybody in this lineup should be able to hit at 425 feet. He could not.
Also pretty sure. Well, I'm also pretty sure those balls are like designed to go 400.
Yeah, but he could not do it. I mean, he did not do it and didn't get that extra thing. He was hitting line drives that were just getting smoked over. But anyway, it was cool to see Teoscar Hernandez. I feel like over the years I've become a fan of Teoscar Hernandez just because he's
kind of flown under.
He has flown under the radar. Yankees had an opportunity at him too. By the way, a couple guys in the Derby and in the All-Star game that they what's his face from San Diego. Can't believe that he made an All-Star game. Profar. That's crazy. Like 2 opportunities, left fielders that could have been. Obviously the Yankees went a different route. I'm not saying that they should have gone either way, but Teoscar Hernandez, I've become a fan over the years. I think just as someone who's watching baseball and the way that guy plays, it seems like he hits everywhere he goes. seems like he has a lot of fun out there. So I don't know. It was nice to see him win, I guess. But yeah, it was all right.
Well, first of all, I did catch the anthem on Monday night, and I know obviously that made headlines and everything. In the moment, I'm not good about knowing if a singer is good or bad. It's just like I can't tell sometimes. So I was listening to it, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure this is bad, but is this just what good music is now? Like, I was very like unsure of myself, and then sure enough, no, it was bad. Apparently she was drunk and probably on drugs and who knows what. Very weird story.
Very weird story, yeah.
But yeah, in the moment I was like, I'm 99% sure this is bad, but maybe not.
So I got a little funny story about that one, because nothing to do with her situation, because obviously she has an issue, and looks like she's going to get it fixed, and the world saw the issue at hand and how it goes. But when I was on vacation, I say this like kind of funny, but not. But sometimes I believe it. Depends how many drinks I have. Is that I believe I have the vocal tool to be a good singer, but I don't know how to use it. And I'm like, I feel like I could be a good singer, but I just need training. Maybe Ilya, maybe that's the next thing we do. Is you just train me how to be a singer. And everybody on the trip was like, "You're an idiot. This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard." But honestly, Tuesday night or Monday night kind of made my point that when you have a very good instrument and don't know how to use it, whether it's because of drugs and alcohol or you're just untrained, you sound like shit.
No, but you're saying when you're drunk, when you've got like a few in you, then you're like, now I can sing.
I'm
clearly.
No, I wasn't even saying that. I was just saying that I believe. I don't even know how to use it when I'm drunk. I'm saying I believe I have the vocal.
It's
I have
just
the tool.
it's deep down in you, but you don't know how to tap into it.
Yeah. That's what I think. That's what I
That's
believe.
like you saying you could be a professional baseball player if you could just tap into the hand-eye coordination and the athleticism. And
if I had the hand-eye, if I had the hand-eye coordination, and yeah, I mean, kind of, but not really. It's a little different.
Yeah, a little
But
different.
when you see someone like that who can sing, and then just alcohol made her forget how to sing, but the tool was there. It's like see, this is what happens. This is how I feel.
I'd imagine singing while drinking is kind of like golfing while drinking, where there's a point where you tip over the edge and it's no longer good, because 2 beers in to 4 beers in, I'm swinging loose. I'm feeling good out there on the course. Crack open beer number 5, I'm slicing everything.
I mean, we have a professional singer right here. Why don't we, Ilya, just answer the question? Is there the tipping point? There's got to be.
There's a tipping point.
And is there a deep down thing that Scott could tap into, or is he a dumbass?
There's a chance. There's a chance. Not a big one, but there's a chance.
Not a big one.
Every year I get older, I'm losing an opportunity. It's not.
Well,
that's good podcast.
Maybe for episode 1,000. Yeah,
we've already done
if we
1,000.
reach
You keep
episode
saying that we
1,000.
haven't, but we have.
We haven't done
Yes, we have.
1,000. We're not. No, because
I don't.
right
Just
now,
move past it. Just move past it.
I think we're
Over 1,000.
It's got to be the official 1,000. Whatever. The last thing on the All-Star game, is it what? Since when does everyone just pitch 1 inning? I thought the starters used to go 2 innings.
No, I don't remember I don't know, but I remember everybody pitching.
Skeens and Burns both went 1 inning each, and I feel like that's a newer trend where 10 years ago the starter would go 2 innings.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm so used to everybody just having a short outing, but the All-Star game itself was all right. Soto got the big hit, obviously. I had
Duran won the MVP.
Yeah, I know. I watched it. He hit a home run.
So that's like the big hit, because that was the game.
No, I'm just talking about Yankees though. Because this is the Yankees podcast.
Yeah.
So and I do believe this. This is what I do believe in the first inning. Skeens. First of all, I haven't seen him pitch yet. That man's calves are the size of his thighs. It's crazy. He's huge. I did not realize how big he was. Or as
power pitchers. Roger Clemens always used to say this: your power comes from your lower half.
Well, yeah, of course, but the calves, his calves are no joke. His calves.
That's the lower half of the lower half.
They are. It is the lower half of the lower half. But he's impressive, man, and he's got breaking stuff too. He's going to be really good. I really do hope that he stays healthy for a long career, because he's going to be fun to watch for a while. He's a force out there. But I do believe that the Juan Soto first at bat was kind of like an intentional at bat because he wanted to pitch to Judge. I'm pretty confident in saying that he wanted to pitch to Judge. So somebody had to get on base, obviously, for Judge to come up, and then he was able to get him. But yeah, it was good. Had Kemp stay up for like artificially stay up to watch Judge and Soto in the All-Star game.
And Soto, nice. All right, well, let's get into the GM plans. Logan and I are going to start with our plans. And the way we do this, we kind of lay out like what our thought process was and the moves that we make and all that kind of good stuff. And then you guys will give your plans, and then we can pick each other's plans apart. But before we do that, the Yankees open up the unofficial second half of the season at home against the Rays this weekend, and then they play the Mets at the stadium next week. If you're looking for tickets, look no further than the GameTime app. GameTime is now an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, meaning buying tickets to a baseball game on GameTime is faster and easier than ever. The app has so many great features and is very streamlined and easy to use. My personal favorites are the flash deals, so you can see what sections the best deals are in. This is also especially good if you're looking for last minute tickets. You just pop on those flash deals and you can just get in the door for the cheapest price possible. You can also toggle on that all-in pricing option so you're not hit with surprise fees at checkouts. And if you've never sat in a specific section before and you want to know what it looks like, you get seat views from inside the stadium. GameTime also has tickets for concerts, comedy shows, theater, and much more. The GameTime guarantee means you're always going to get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section in the same row for less money, GameTime is going to credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets today with GameTime. Download the app, create an account, and use code BRONX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Once again, download the GameTime app and then redeem code BRONX for $20 off. Download GameTime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All righty. Here we are. Once again, trying to fix the Yankees. It's never just like, let's just get one piece and we're good to go. It's always like, let's tear it down and build it back up. So we went into this. I'm curious to hear your thought process when you go into it, but we were really targeting specific areas. We all know that the bullpen has been an issue and needs to be addressed. So we wanted to address the bullpen. I think that infield, the Yankees infield has been one of their weakest parts of the team. It's been one of the worst in baseball just from infield production. For a while, Volpe was the only guy really carrying that, and then he's even been struggling for the last month or so. So we were targeting either a second baseman or a third baseman. And then with the decision we ended up going, you'll see why we ended up going with that. But we were looking at those two positions. We were also trying to target some rotation depth, just mainly for insurance. Who knows how many innings he has left in him in the second half. Clark Schmidt coming back from injury, while we all hope he does, that's an uncertainty. I mean, also adding depth gives you flexibility. Come playoff time, maybe you can move one of those guys to the bullpen to bolster that bullpen even more. So we looked at rotation, and then we kicked the can on some outfielders as well. Not that outfield I think is a big need for this team, but with Verdugo struggling, we just wanted to kick the tires on some outfielders. The first piece that we are acquiring is Jonathan India, second baseman from the Cincinnati Reds. And this is actually a guy Logan and I looked at in the offseason about acquiring because not only does he solve some near-term issues for the Yankees, but he actually solves your second base problem for next year too, once Glaber's gone, because India's on a very team-friendly deal next year. Basically, the luxury tax hit on him is like $4.5 million for 2025 because he signed a 2-year, $8-point-something million deal with the Reds before this season. To be honest with you, we were targeting third base more, specifically McMahon from the Colorado Rockies, but there were reports that he's not going to be traded, that he apparently had a face-to-face conversation with the general manager and they said he's staying. So us pulling the trigger on a trade for him just felt like that's unrealistic. And so then we just wanted to go with the next best player that we think is realistically available, and that's where India comes
I'm glad you did that, first of all, real quick. We did the exact same thing. We were looking at him, and because of what was said out there, we kind of backed off because it doesn't seem like it's possible.
Right. And so second base, even though they have Gleyber Torres, is an issue because Gleyber Torres has not been producing, and he's not going to be with this team next year. The team has had a lack of production versus left-handed pitching in general. They've got a 702 team OPS against lefties, and India crushes left-handed pitching. He's got an 871 OPS this year. He slots right into that leadoff spot as a righty, so you can just have India, Soto, Judge at the top of the lineup, and that's a really strong top three. So far this year, he's hitting 275, 377, 427 with an 804 OPS. That's a 124 OPS plus. And the package going to Cincinnati, is, I think, decent guys, but it's not breaking the prospect bank. Roderick Arias, Everson Pereira, and Tanner Myatt, who's a relief pitcher, who's a Rule 5 eligible guy. And so if you're just looking at where these guys rank in the Yankee system, Pereira is number 7 overall. Arias is number 13 overall. Those are the trade values, not where they rank in the Yankee system. That's the trade value. So that trade value website was
The sons of bitches started
subscription
charging people. So,
but we kind of use like what people had posted as trades where we could, and noted that Pereira's value was a 7, Arias was a 13, and India's was a 27. And then Myatt also is another relief pitcher to throw in there. And the Yankees are eating up the salary on India. The Reds have an abundance of infielders as well. So, as much as a guy like India can be expendable, for them, he is. A lot of his StatCast numbers are really good. He's got great range, not a ton of arm strength, but just overall really solid player, and solves the need at second base in the short term and the long term.
cool.
The next move that we're making is with the Texas Rangers, who I know are not definitely going to be sellers. I think they're close to 500, but
Nathan Eovaldi.
Nathan
4 games under 500. I figured you guys would be in on this too. Acquiring Eovaldi and David.
Oh, you are
Robertson
getting
from
Eovaldi.
the
I was
Texas
joking.
Rangers.
Okay, cool.
Getting the band.
I just no, it's not bad. I'm just saying it's funny that Andrew's acquiring Nathan Eovaldi, but keep going.
Yeah, I
please.
agree.
I know, it is. But you know what? It makes a lot of
And
sense.
you hate bringing people back, and you brought 2 people back in the same deal.
I hate bringing people back that. Like, I hated bringing back, what's his name? Who's the pitcher? Javier Vazquez. That's who I hated bringing back, because he gave up one of the biggest home runs in Yankees history. Don't bring him back.
Okay. We'll
Bring back David Robertson? Sure. We never wanted him
Nathan
to leave.
Eovaldi, though. We'll discuss this after.
Nathan Eovaldi's another story. He's been on too many teams to really make a difference at this point. Eovaldi is probably a number 2 or 3 in the regular season, but he's been a front end playoff starter
Against the Yankees.
and against everyone he's pitched in the playoffs. He freaking owned the Dodgers when he was with the Red Sox. And then Robertson is that high leverage bullpen arm who, even at 39 years old, is still pretty damn effective. Going to the Texas Rangers, Jorbit Vivas, who is second baseman, number 15 in the Yankee system, and Tyler Hardman, who's third baseman, number 25 in the Yankee system. And then coming back to the Yankees, obviously Eovaldi and Robertson. Robertson actually has negative value according to that website because of his salary implications for next year. And both guys, you're kind of eating money from the Texas Rangers. Eovaldi, if he reaches 156 innings this year, and he's at 94, so he needs 62 more innings. He has a vesting option kick in for $20 million next year, or a $2 million buyout. But if you think about $20 million for Eovaldi, that seems like a pretty good bargain. Like, that's what he would get probably for a year on the open market, especially when you're paying someone like Carlos Rodon $28 million to just pitch 4 innings. And then Robertson has for next year a $7 million mutual option, or $1.5 million buyout. So far, Eovaldi on the season, 2.97 ERA, 3.58 FIP. In 94 innings pitched. And then Robertson in 38 games has a 2.88 ERA and under a 1 WHIP. So Robertson slots in at the back of the bullpen. You also trust him in big spots. And then Eovaldi's probably your game 2 playoff starter, if you can acquire him.
You should have just thrown Kirby Yates in that deal and just bring the whole band back together.
Ooh, that's a good
When
one.
was the last time? Was Kirby Yates back in like 2014? How long
It was
ago
a long
that?
time ago. but he's pitching well and pitched a lights out whatever inning he pitched during the game last night.
He pitched with the Yankees 2016.
My question is how much of the playoff money is David Robertson going to get?
Not enough. So as far as adding salary for this year in those two moves, Evaldi's about $7 million and Robertson's about $4.5 million. The next guy we're acquiring is a player that no one's probably ever heard of, but the Yankees always seem to acquire someone like this at the deadline. Nick Mears, relief pitcher from the Colorado Rockies. He's a high strikeout guy, over 11 strikeouts per 9 innings, but his just general numbers don't look very good. 5.95 ERA so far this year, but his FIP is 2.90 and his expected ERA is 3.28. He's 25 years old, and next year is going to be his first year of arbitration. Sending back to the Colorado Rockies, Jack Neely, who's number 24 in the Yankee system, and then also, maybe throw in someone that like from the to get rid of a Rule 5 guy for from the Yankees. Like we put in here Edgar Barclay, who's 26 years old. But this is the type of guy that the Yankees always target, where they've got metrics that say they're good. Get their coaching staff on them, get Matt Blake on them, and try and find a diamond in the rough. The only reason I stumbled upon this guy is because when I was looking at potentially trading for McMahon, I was looking at also what does Colorado have in their bullpen, and his strikeout numbers sort of popped out to me. That's something I was targeting in the bullpen, is just, can you strike guys out? Because that's not something this Yankees bullpen has. We're also acquiring, in our last move, Tanner Scott from the Miami Marlins. He's one of the top-rated relief pitchers available at the trade deadline. Going to Miami, Anthony Hall, who's number 28 in the Yankee system, and Alex Mauricio, who's a Rule 5 eligible guy. Scott's been unbelievable this year with a 1.34 ERA. I know he's been shaky in seasons past, and he walks 5 guys per 9 innings. So just acquiring someone like Scott, I do not think is good enough in this bullpen. Especially because someone who walks 5 per 9 innings, like, do you feel great about putting that at the back of the bullpen? No, I do not. But I feel good about putting someone like David Robertson back there, and then maybe using Tanner Scott in a 7th, 8th inning type of role. And if you can also get, something out of Nick Mears, then with the other guys coming back, you have at least strikeout arms in that bullpen, which is something they don't have. So if we're looking at the 26-man roster at the time of all these moves, you're obviously adding Evaldi to the rotation. So you're looking at a rotation of Cole, Evaldi, Luis Gil, Marcus Stroman, and Carlos Rodon. When and if Clark Schmidt comes back, you'll have a decision to make then. You know how those things work out. Someone always goes down at that time, so the decision will probably be made for you. You're going to have to be getting rid of a lot of guys in your bullpen, because your bullpen is now made up of Tanner Scott, David Robertson, Nick Mears, in addition to Clay Holmes, Tommy Kahnle, Luke Weaver, Michael Tonkin, and then Scott Efros is coming back very soon. So, I mean, just the names in that bullpen feels a lot better than what they've had to deal with in the first half, which is great. And then infielders, you're adding Jonathan India to the mix, and that kind of puts Gleyber Torres in a weird spot. And I thought it's disingenuous to just dump him on some team, because who the hell is going to trade for Gleyber Torres at this point? And having Gleyber in a bench role really provides nothing for you. But this is the last season of him, and you can't just suck it up with him because he's not providing you anything. So you really kind of just have to bench him and use him sparingly, and use him in spots when he can get in, when India needs a day off. Maybe you shift someone over and Gleyber Torres can play third base for a game. Maybe Gleyber Torres gets a day or two at DH in certain spots. I don't know. Listen, taking a guy like Gleyber Torres and putting him on the bench is going to be even more of a pouty baby. But I'm done starting him every day. And trading him just didn't feel like it was realistic. So you want to waive him? You can also waive him. I don't really give a crap anymore. You're also going to have a decision to make when and if Rizzo comes back. And then when John Birdie comes back, which should be sooner than later, you're probably looking at Oswaldo Cabrera gone. And the outfield didn't have any changes. Stanton should be coming back soon. We traded away 4 guys from the 40-man roster, and we acquired 5 guys to the 40-man roster. So you're going to have to do a little bit of a 40-man roster shuffling. but shouldn't be too much to figure out. And then if you're looking at salary, total added salary for the season this year, 16.75 million. And then for next year, it's like 34 or 33 to 34 million that you're adding in salary, assuming Evaldi's option is vesting and you're keeping him on the books and not buying him out. And that's our plans to upgrade the Yankees 2024 chances.
Okay. All right.
You guys are
Yeah,
gonna
let
go
me
through
hold
your
my
plans
tongue
now.
for a minute, and then I will say my piece.
But before you get to your plans, if you have ever dreamed about speaking a new language, then I highly recommend Babel as the best way to do it. With Babel, you can start speaking a new language in as little as 3 weeks. Imagine that. By the first week of August, as we sit here now on July 17th, you can be communicating in another language if you really put your mind to it. Maybe, Scott, you can sing in another language because, that's deep down inside of you. Babel is great because their convenient courses can fit into your hectic schedule. Lessons are only 10 minutes long and they are handcrafted by over 200 language experts to help you start speaking a new language. Babel is designed by real people for real conversations. You don't need to be paying hundreds of dollars for private tutors or waste hours on apps that just claim they're going to help you start speaking a new language. Babel's tips and tools are approachable, accessible, rooted in real life situations, and delivered with conversation-based teaching so you're ready to practice what you've learned in the real world. Babel has over 16 million subscriptions sold, and all of Babel's 14 award-winning language courses are backed by their 20-day money-back guarantee. It's a special limited-time deal for our listeners. Right now, you can get 60% off your Babel subscription at babbel.com/Bronx. Right now, 60% at babbel.com/Bronx, spelled BABBEL.com/Bronx. Rules and restrictions apply. Take it away.
Okay, so let me just let me set up some things and thought process and kind of what we were looking at and why we made some of these decisions. First of all, not a huge seller's market out there right now or buyer's market for the infield. There's not a lot of people selling.
You sound like Brian Cashman.
Well, yeah, that's kind of what we're playing.
You're already excuse making.
I'm just saying, like, as far as the amount of teams, if you look in the National League, like, there's 3 clear teams that are going to be selling. 3. There's a lot of teams still in the hunt, and there's a lot of just unclear situations on who's giving up what, and among those teams, and even if you go into the a little further into the fringe with the wild card in the National League, there's just not a ton of options in the places that the Yankees need them. We looked at multiple second basemen as well, and we looked at third base. We didn't really look in the outfield all that much. We took a gander at a couple guys, but I think the outfield is at this point it is what it is, which it's not like that's a bad thing. I think it's a good outfield. I think that Verdugo will bounce back from this extended slump that he's in, and there's opportunities there still. The infield obviously is the one, as you mentioned. That's the place, the focus of where they need to improve if we're looking at just the offense and what they need from it. On the other side of the ball, in the pitching, on the pitching side, we focused on the bullpen, big time focus on the bullpen. And as you kind of mentioned, something we've been talking about a lot, the Yankees don't have guys who can strike anybody out in the bullpen. That was a huge focus for what we're looking at. We're looking at for high strikeout guys. When you are looking for high strikeout guys and you find high strikeout guys, sometimes you had one case as well. Sometimes walks can come along with that. So that's a dicey game to play. It's not one that I love. It's been my, the other side of why I think Luis Gil is long-term a better starter than he is a bullpen arm. But it's just part of our thinking. That's just as we're going through, when you get a high strikeout guy who's available like this, sometimes there are opportunities for walks. So that's something you got to be careful with, because that's a problem right now. We look at some of the guys that we have out there now who are just not finding the strike zone. The starting rotation, we looked at a couple guys on the starting rotation side. Ended up not going with another starter because the opportunity for another starter right now that was obtainable. I just don't think is like your trade, the one that you have over there, a couple of them, I think you're going to be missing on prospects, and I just don't think the Yankees have a deep enough of a prospect, tank that they can go out and just get someone that's going to make a difference. And when you have Clark Schmidt, who's going to be coming back, you have a roster spot that you have, and I know Luis Heel is going to be maybe on a pitch count at some point. They're going to have to figure that out, but. I think if there's some more depth in the bullpen, because that's been the biggest glaring weakness on this team, and it's going to be a huge problem, I believe, later in the season into the playoffs if they don't address it now. So just want to just kind of go over some thinking of what we were looking through and what we were seeing from the market as well before I kind of lay this out. So I'll just tell you what we did. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ahead of time, and then I'll go through the deals. We acquired 4 relief pitchers in the bullpen, 4, and we'll talk about what the implications of those 4 are. And we acquired 1 infielder / outfielder, I guess you could say. So I think flexibility is also a key piece of this too, because I know you're benching Glaber. I don't think that's as easy as that's a tough thing. You mentioned it. It's a tough thing to do because there's not really a spot for him. When you're looking at third base, DJ LeMahieu, as much as I want him to be the DJ LeMahieu of old, or at least 50 to 60% of that guy, he's not right now. He's just not. He looks ancient. He looks old. I think third base is a really big problem right now for the Yankees. And it's not even, a matter of being able to get like third base production out of it. You need to get some production out of third base so that you can, be able to turn the lineup over and not have just completely empty spots from a spot that's supposed to be a power spot. All right. So the first move that I'll talk about here, and as badly as I wanted to get our boy from Oakland that was throwing 103 miles per hour in the All-Star game, who I didn't realize was 6'5" and just like a hoss. I did not know he was that big either. That guy is just completely impressive. We went with the counterpart, the number 2 in the bullpen over there, Lucas Erceg. That's a guy that I had flagged from the first series that we saw them. I think he's impressive. He's a guy that's a high strikeout guy as well. All the guys that we acquired are higher strikeout guys, 26.8 K percentage. A lot of control. We're going to be obtaining some controllable relief pitchers, which, as we know, Brian Cashman likes to do. It sets them up. The bullpen is completely in a place. You look at the future. They need to rework it. They need to build this bullpen out completely from scratch almost. So to have guys that are going to be controlled beyond this year, I think is important when you're dipping into the minor league system and really just kind of gutting it with pitching. They did that in the offseason, and we're about to do it even more. But at the same time, it's like the Yankees system, while there may be depth of 4A guys and guys that, will potentially make an impact, but there's no real high leverage guys in there, that I'm identifying that's going to go out and, allow the Yankees to make significant moves, for really high name guys. So Lucas Erceg is coming over, for Jared Cerna, Clayton Beater, and, Yandris Gomez, who we saw this year as well. We had Lucas Erceg at an 8.2 value, and the package that we sent over is adds up to 9. Erceg has 5.5 years of control, $337,000 remaining on his contract. None of that is the dollars don't make a damn amount of difference to the Yankees this year.
Is it just league minimum? He's league minimum this year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of control there, obviously, and getting some arms over to Oakland. And Cerna is the number 19 prospect, 788 OPS right now in playing in A ball. He's playing shortstop. Okay, the next move, and just a couple numbers on Erceg as well. I mean, he's at a basically 10 strikeouts per 9. He does have 3 walks per 9. As I mentioned, like, you're going to have some of these high strikeout guys. Their walk numbers are going to be not always where you want them, but it is what it is. You kind of have to bear it to get these guys at this point, and the Yankees need to rework everything. And he's 29 years old. So he's not a young pup, you know, like 5.5 years of control, but he's an old 5.5 years of control, 29 years old. Next move that we made is, get down to it, trade number 2. And this one is, I think, an impact trade. I think it gives the Yankees some flexibility, and that was where I think that they needed to add it on when we're looking at what to improve the infield. 'Cause everywhere we went, there was not like a slam dunk third baseman that we could acquire that made sense that would significantly improve this team. I didn't see it. I didn't see a slam dunk move. India was a guy that we looked at, but just kind of deferred to this dude because of the ability of playing third base. So Luis Rengifo and Carlos Estevez.
He was our number 2
Yeah,
option.
Carlos Estevez from Anaheim are 2 guys that we acquired. Estevez is a big right-handed. He's their closer. He's 6'5". He's a big dude. High strikeout numbers again. And I think that when you're looking at Rengifo and his numbers, they slot into the Yankees nicely. He doesn't strike out, like never strikes out. He gets on base a bunch. He got an 800 OPS this year on the dot. He steals bases. So we're looking for a leadoff hitter. You're looking for a guy he's a switch hitter also, which is tremendous. This is a guy that you could slot in right there. He's got speed. He's got the ability to get on base. He does not strike out. You're prolonging, you're getting extended at bats for Soto and Judge in front of them. I think it's a good opportunity. If Volpe can't figure it out and get back into that spot, this is a guy that you can plug and play right there. He can play third base. He's not a great defender, but again, like this is one of those things. We're not getting perfect guys. Like there are situations here that we have to deal with some warts.
He's honestly we liked him too. He's not the Yankees prototypical player.
No, he's not. But in what way? In what way do you mean by that?
His defensive metrics are bad, and all of his advanced metrics, expected stats are all pretty bad.
But
like his StatCast page is terrible.
I don't look at StatCast as much, but
but you know who
I
does.
know who does for sure. And when you're looking at what they need, though, they need a guy offensively who can.
Like I said, he was our second option.
Yeah, and again, like that's what we're looking at. There just aren't a lot of options out there when you're looking at third base that are obtainable for what the Yankees have. It's an interesting trade deadline. So again, this is another Carlos Estevez, another guy that has closing experience, which I hold. I think is a very good thing and something that they need. Obviously, we know what Clay Holmes has been this year. The guy has been extremely rocky. Runners on scoring position, his numbers don't do justice what he has been. So I think having more people that have experience in the back of that bullpen just give the Yankees more of an option if needed, if they have to go to that. Next move that we're making is and quick, the control on Rengifo, a year and a half. There's 1.98, so $2 million remaining this year on his contract, and we're giving up Hampton, Chase Hampton, number 3 prospect, LaGrange, number 16 prospect, right-handed pitcher, and Hall, outfielder, number 26. So Hampton's, again, a guy that is high in the system, but it's a system that really did just get gutted in the offseason. I don't think he's going to make a difference with the New York Yankees. So I think moving him is the best option at that point. And Estevez is a rental player too. $3 million on his contract, 27.2 strikeout percentage for that guy, which is great. Okay, next move we are making is for another relief pitcher. This is with the Miami Marlins. We are going to get left-handed pitcher out of the bullpen, Andrew Nardi. Andrew Nardi is another guy that throws. We needed to get another lefty in there because we're getting rid of a lot of lefties. Some that are names that are very forgettable. There's only one major league starting player in the bullpen right now that's a lefty, and that's Turd Ferguson. And I will very, very happily kick his ass to the curb and say goodbye and replace him with Nardi here. His value is at 15.5 as far as the trade. We gave up Everson Pereira and George Lombard Jr., who was their number 1 draft pick last year at shortstop. So giving up some significant stuff here, but again, like this is a move that the Yankees they have to bolster their bullpen. They absolutely do. And if they're not going to, if we did not go out and get another starting arm, bolstering the bullpen with guys who are much more capable is going to give them just more protection come playoff time and the end of the season. So I feel good about that. His numbers, you look at them, they don't jump off the page as far as the standard numbers, but he's gotten some terrible defense. There's a couple articles written about him if you want to look him up. That there's some egregious defense behind him that have inflated his numbers. A lot of strikeouts. When you look at some of the advanced metrics, they're much better. And I think that, he comes over and you see significantly better numbers from him because the stuff is good. 29.6K strikeout percentage this year. He's a 30% strikeout guy for his career. 2-pitch guy, 4-pitch, 4-seam fastball, slider. He's thrown 6 changeups this year. And he's a big lefty reliever. So that's the next guy we're getting. And then last move here is a little bit of a flyer, but I think again bullpen. Let's throw some shit against the wall here, right? We're gonna go get Michael Kopech from the Chicago White Sox, and he's got a year and a half of control. I'm reading my notes. Yep, year and a half control, and he's also right now closing for the Chicago White Sox. Not very many opportunities to close for the White Sox. But there he is in the back of the bullpen.
That's like being the skinniest kid at fat camp.
And you look at his numbers over the last over the last month, and they've actually improved quite a bit. The walks have gone down, which is a good thing. He was the guy that I was really talking about when I'm like, watch out for the warts and the walks, because Michael Kopech, I mean, he throws 100 miles an hour.
What's his walks
plus
per 9? He's thrown 100 miles an hour ever since he was drafted.
I mean, he came out of the womb throwing 100 miles an hour. The guy's been throwing for a long time. He, I think, on record at one point had the fastest pitch ever thrown. That was a gun, and
he was a Red Sox, wasn't he? With the Red Sox?
Yeah, there was the Moncada deal
traded over there,
and Sale back in the day. So
five walks per 9, which is kind of the same as Tanner Scott, who we acquired, and it just seems like that's so many relief pitchers now. It's 10 strikeouts per 9, 4 or 5 walks.
Yeah, and for him, he was out for a bit. He's back, and I'm looking at some of the more recent numbers too. And since he was in that closer role, the walk numbers have improved. So whether that's a flash in the pan or he's made some mechanical adjustments, I do feel good about giving some of these guys over to Matt Blake and allowing him to and his squad to do whatever they do with these guys and hopefully can clean some of these things up and get the best out of them. So what we're giving up for him is Oswald Peraza, a guy that has really originally we thought was going to have a lot of value. Change of scenery here. I think Kopech here as well is like, what are the White Sox doing with the closer? Year and a half control. Might as well get something for him. Peraza at least has the ability, to go out there and do something. They're rolling out your boy, the Young, at shortstop right now. So there's a spot open, and the Young might be getting released at some point. Is word on the street?
And the Yankees will pick him up when he does.
So that closes our moves out.
So you focused
full
bullpen.
bullpen. I mean, it's not that different
bullpen
from you besides Nathan Eovaldi, which is the most shocking move, I think, in this show's history, coming from your mouth.
It's taking advantage. I mean, all the articles written about Nathan Eovaldi, or all the articles written if the Rangers are going to sell, it's like they're basically going to give away Eovaldi just to get rid of his money.
No, I get it.
And it's like if it's just money for – listen, as much as I was frustrated with Nathan Eovaldi, like I can't deny his success, especially in big games and in playoff times over the past 7 seasons.
Yeah, I mean, I loved Eovaldi. I still do. I like him. I think he's a very good player.
So we want to get into, dissecting each other's plans and having a back and forth. But first, we are brought to you by Factor Meals. Summer can be hectic, and even if you want to eat healthy and show off that beach bod, you might not have the time to go grocery shopping and make a home-cooked meal. With Factor, you can stick to your wellness goals and eat delicious food. The best part, it is ridiculously easy. The process is the best. You just go on their website and choose from over 35 delicious meals each week. You can also customize your deliveries with 60 different add-ons. Highly skilled chefs prepare your food and is delivered to you. Heating the meals up takes just 2 minutes, and then there's no mess or anything to clean up after that. That is my personal favorite part. All of Factor's meals are fresh and never frozen. They have options for all meals from breakfast to dessert and all snacks in between. My personal favorite Factor meal that I've ever had is the chorizo chili chili, I think has have the nice, the right amount of spice, and the one that they sent has just that. Factor is no prep, no mess, just delicious food. Great offer for you right now if you head to factormeals.com/Bronx50 and use code Bronx50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That's an awesome, awesome deal. Half off your first box and then 20% off your next month after that at factormeals.com/Bronx50.
And you said
All
we
right,
focus on the bullpen. Yes, we focus on the bullpen, but
we both focused on the
but
bullpen.
Rengifo also, it's a similar move that you made, I think, with India, with what we're looking at, and it provides more
those two
flexibility.
options,
It provides more flexibility, and that was the reason we did it.
I agree. We went into this saying third baseman is more important, but we think India's a better player than Rengifo, and so that's why we ended up going with the better player. Rengifo's his track record hasn't been as good. He wasn't as high. I mean, India was like a top 5 draft pick. So he's always been sort of like touted as a great player. His defense is much better, and his StatCast numbers are all good. And I know you say I don't look at StatCast numbers. While I'm not going to put all my eggs in the StatCast numbers basket, like there is enough sample with a lot of these guys where if you've got a lot of blue in your expected weighted on base and expected slugging and exit velocity and barrel percentage and hard hit percentage, all for Rengifo are all bad. His strikeout percentage is excellent, like you said. His walk percentage is bad. That tells me maybe the numbers will come crashing back down to earth. Maybe they won't, and he'll continue to have an 800 OPS, which is awesome. But you know who also has an 800 OPS? India.
Yeah, so I'm looking at both of these guys. You put their numbers up together on Baseball Reference just as a side by side. I mean, they're very similar. They really are very similar. Their on base percentage, India has them by a couple percentage points, 377 to 358. Slugging, Rengifo has him 442, 427. OPS, they're practically identical. OPS plus, they're practically identical, 123, 124. So they're not that dissimilar of players. Actually, they're similar.
No.
Rengifo is a better base runner. He's got more stolen bases, but India can also steal a bag if you want him to. Rengifo also is a switch hitter, which I think again adds flexibility.
That's nice.
And that's the thing. Like, look, you're saying just a flat out bench Gleyber Torres, and I don't think it's as simple as that. And I know you want to, but I don't think it's as simple as that because third base is a problem. And when you have Rengifo, it gives you the ability to say, okay, this week Gleyber Torres is playing really well. He's going to stay in there. DJ still nothing. Rengifo play third base, and then you can. I think you need flexibility in the situation that the Yankees are in currently.
But Rengifo in your plan is an everyday player. It's just at second and third.
But most likely third base. I mean, again, like this allows DJ to come back to health and be the guy, maybe, or it doesn't. It allows then Rengifo to play third base. You have options for this. One of the reasons why I was going back when Ilya and I were going back and forth a little bit with Rengifo, because we had him towards the beginning, and then we're like, hold on a second, he's actually really a very, very similar player, if not a redundant player, to John Birdie when John Birdie comes back. When John Birdie comes back, you have a guy that can play all over the place, steal a bag, doesn't strike out a lot. Like, it's a similar player.
Wait, who's a redundant player?
Rengifo. So
well, I mean,
but when you have two redundant players that are multiple options at multiple positions, and you have the ability to do things, it doesn't matter as much. And you're just kind of saying like, okay, let's throw as many good players as we can find on the roster that have the flexibility to play in different spots against different pitchers. Then it'll work itself out. It'll work itself out. And the fact that he's a switch hitter, I think, is a big deal.
I like the fact that he's a switch hitter, and I like the fact that he can play third base. I think at this point you have to just bite the bullet with Gleyber Torres. Playing him this week and not playing him next week, like what you just said, like what does that?
I know,
get?
but then you have DJ LeMahieu.
That's not how he's going to
playing every day. So that's the problem.
Well, I mean, when Birdie comes back, you play him a decent amount.
Yeah,
and maybe you start Gleyber Torres at third base.
He's not playing third base. He hasn't played third base. He's not going to play third base. That's not an option.
I don't want him playing. This is my GM plans.
And that's your prerogative. I get it. But what I'm saying is when you are just going to second base and India can't play third, Gleyber cannot play third, then you have DJ LeMahieu and whomever else, Birdie or Cabrera, like someone who's going to be playing over there. But third baseman is continuing to be a problem at that point, and that was the reason why we didn't go second base, because we were looking at India also. I mean, we were looking at second baseman, but decided to go with flexibility because I think both of them are an option. And at least now Boone says, okay, whoever's resurged to a player that could be serviceable and play at their position, then you play, and we have the guy that we acquired play in the other spot. That was the deciding factor.
What were you going to say, Logan?
We just, part of what the other thing that we were like was a big deal for us was the fact that he's a righty. They need the pop against left-handed pitching. I know that when he was a switch hitter, but Jonathan India is a plus hitter against lefties to go in front. Like, they just lack that. I mean, you build out that lineup and you kind of lack outside of Stanton hopefully coming back, and then Judge. Volpe's kind of, we don't know. We have Glaber, we have DJ, but they have the left-handed pop in. Rice has been good. Obviously, they have Soto. Wells has been good. Verdugo. Like, we just felt like we wanted a righty. We wanted a righty.
So this is interesting. Renjifo's numbers against lefties are unbelievable. 955 OPS, but it's only 50 at bats. Yeah. Like, it's barely any games. It's barely any time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's just opportunity, but I was going to say that like he's good from the right side as well. So
no, he is. It's weird that he hasn't had a lot of plate appearances from the right side.
The other piece of this as well, when we're looking at your plans, is India was like a 25 value, Rengifo was a 9 value. So the prospect difference and actually being able to obtain them, I think it's going to take more than what you said. Honestly, I think it might take more from all of our plans. I don't know. I think we were being a little ambitious with what the Yankees farm system is. I've said this before. It's not good. It's not stacked. When I say it's not deep, I mean it's not deep with like really good prospects. There are a bunch of good players in there.
It's got a long tail, but like, what is that on a trade market when there's a bunch of teams vying for certain guys? Teams would rather have the high end guy than 3 long, depth guys that might
And your deal for Tanner Scott would never in a million years get done.
His value is not high on it's the trade value website.
The reason his value may not be as high on there, but there's going to be competition for him. That's the difference.
There's going to be he's an impending free agent though. He's got it's 2 months and then he's a free agent.
Someone's going to give up something for him. That's the. We didn't put him in the deal because I think it would have been too rich.
I don't think there's a lot of precedent. I mean,
Aroldis Chapman.
Throw out the Aroldis Chapman. That's the only time that ever happened, and that was because a team hadn't won a World Series in 100 years.
Yeah, maybe. But like I said, like I'm not even coming at you guys with the prospect. I am a little bit on that one, but at the same time, like I think it's a little ambitious for some of these with what they have on our side, even though the trade numbers work out from the site that we use as a resource.
So neither of us traded Spencer Jones, and like realistically, what player would we have traded Spencer Jones
That's
for?
the number one question. Ilya, who were we looking at for him where we're like, that doesn't even make any sense?
I think we were just trying to check in on like Mason Miller's value. I was looking at Tariq Skubal for a minute there just because, but his value is like 100 now. That's
it's not even going to get him. That's the thing. Like Spencer Jones won't even get some of those top flight younger.
Right. And it's
pitchers.
Like the one that hit Spencer Jones is most in on is Garrett Crochet's contract, Garrett Crochet's trade. But like, I don't know. First of all, I'm never trusting a White Sox to come over. You can't have a Garrett and a Garrett in the same staff. They're already talking about him being shut down for innings at some point soon. Yeah. Like, I'm not trading Spencer Jones for that uncertainty.
No, and especially when we don't know what the hell's going to happen in the outfield. You're basically like Dominguez and Jones. One of them hopefully will pan out and play, in an everyday position with the Yankees. And I'd rather have 2 of those guys as an option than one of those guys, and just have to commit to that, especially with the injuries that have popped up with Dominguez. So,
the last thing to say about the infield, though, you're saying, well, in our plans, third base is still a problem. In your plans, second base is still a problem.
Unless DJ is playing, Glaber, you're right. But there's more flexibility. Again, like that. The reason why it's like, who can play where at this point? You're right. Second and third base are problems. There's no denying that. but at least we have the
Why don't
flexibility.
they just go
to
get Renifo and Jonathan India?
because they don't have the capital. They don't have the capital to do it.
The other guy that Spencer Jones would probably have to be included for is Jeff Chisholm, who they've been linked to.
Yeah.
How would you guys feel
Which
about
I
that?
don't think makes any sense.
How many years of control does Chisholm
I think
have?
probably 3, maybe like 2.5, 3.5, something like that.
And
After
he's
2027.
he's an infielder,
He's been
outfielder,
playing center field, hasn't he?
right? He's
Center fielder, they put him back at second base right before the All-Star break to say that he could do it. He came up as a shortstop.
I remember when Heyman.
It doesn't make sense. What you'd have to give up for him doesn't make sense. I don't think it improves the team a ton, to be honest.
So Chisholm has this year 100 OPS on the dot. Last year, 100 OPS on the dot.
He's 102 for his career.
The year before that, 138 in 2022.
60 games.
But that was only 60 games. Exactly. So, I mean, even if you have that in there, he's a barely above league average offensive player.
So why would you give up? He's a name. I think his name creates more stir than anything else. So I avoided. I have no interest in it.
Also, so you guys did not acquire a starter. You're not concerned about the rotation going into a playoff? We all hope there's a playoff series. You're not concerned about this rotation in a playoff series?
Not to say I'm not concerned about it. I don't think I'm concerned about it. But there's not a ton that I mean, you get Evaldi right now. Like, I understand you can turn one of the guys maybe into a bullpen arm at some point later.
Yeah, I think
But what
that's
are you doing with
exactly
them
what
now?
you would do. I just told, well, right now you have your 5 starters because Clark Schmidt is not back. So you're
who's not pitching? Luis Heel? Someone's not pitching.
I don't think you accounted for Nestor.
Yeah,
No,
Nestor.
we didn't account for Clark,
Nestor.
I believe.
Clark's not even on the team right now.
We're moving Nestor to the bullpen, or we're moving because you're not taking Rodon out of the bullpen, and
the
unless
rotation.
Hill gets shut down, which is probably.
I don't think they're going to shut him down. I think they'll be tricky with what he does, and then they'll just kind of ride it. But
We looked at pitching, and the one concern was the playoff rotation more than the depth, because I think they have their depth. No matter how they're pitching, they have depth to get through the season, and they have shown life at points in the season. But the rotation in the playoffs was a concern. So we looked at Jack Flaherty as a rental.
Yeah.
but I just don't think they're going to be competitive for him. Everybody's going to be.
There's
going to
be a bidding war.
The Dodgers.
His value. Remember how low his value was
Yeah, I
last
know.
year? They could have scooped him up last year.
Well, I mean, he was dog shit for a little while too. So
I know that's why his value plummeted.
that's what happens when you don't play
And he
well.
rebounded.
But everybody's going to be after Jack Flaherty. Like, he's the exact guy that everybody wants, right? Like, he's having a good season. He's a rental. You know, it's him for this run, and that's it. And hopefully he can build more value for him. You know what? I'll tell you one thing that I was trying to look at and trying to be really tricky here. It's just similar to what I did last year. I was looking at for who was it in Colorado?
Chris Bryant.
Chris Bryant, thank you. I started looking at Anthony Rendon. Because I'm like, wait a minute. Ilya last night, because we were talking about this late, and I was like, what's going on with Anthony Rendon? Because the last I remember I heard, I was like, he doesn't want to play. He's not like, baseball's not a priority. Like, there was some behind the scenes thing going on. There was no,
72 OPS
they didn't want to
plus.
deal with him at this point. So I'm like, well, maybe he just came back without a rehab assignment. The guy's like, I'm just going to play in the major leagues. So that's what's happening. And I think there's something potentially there that could be interesting. Honestly, the Angels have to eat the contract, which I think they could. It's possible because there were talks of them just releasing him. So you give a couple prospects to him. Maybe they're thinking, hey, that's more than we thought we were going to get when we're going to cut him in a week anyway. And then all of a sudden you get Anthony Rendon, who comes in, plays third base every single day, miraculously healthy because he's been healthy the whole time, and just wants to play. And now you have like all this player, going back to his Washington Nationals days when he got this massive contract, which he's played, I think he's got like 40 at bats or something stupid with the Angels right now for a dumb amount of money. I think he's getting paid like third most.
38.5 million bucks.
It's crazy. So that wouldn't shock me, to be honest. Like, if they are fed up with him and they just want to move on, something like someone could benefit from that.
Josh Donaldson 2.0.
That's exactly what Ilya said. But it's different. It's a little different. Maybe not.
Well, I mean, Anaheim's not going to eat all the money.
They might if they're going to cut him anyway. They might.
I don't see them cutting him at this point. He's got he's got 4 more years left and $77.1 million.
And nobody wants to look at his face out there.
No, but
so
teams cut guys 2, maybe 3 years left, not 4 years and 77
I'm
mil.
just telling you, it wouldn't shock the shit out of me if something like that were to happen. And okay, fine. If there's like a small tiny bit of the contract that you have to take on, yeah. Donaldson, they tried to do it with him.
Well,
so there's a precedent here with a guy like that. Donaldson's a little different in that regard, though. Like, Rendon just hasn't played. He has been injured for the entire contract.
He was so good with
Washington. He was so good.
Hasn't played more than 58 games.
58, yeah.
In the Angels since 2020 when he, 2020 obviously, but then
2020 he only played 52 games, but that was out of a 60-game season, and he was good.
And he just came back, no rehab assignment. So like, right before the deadline, he's making these like, oh, I'm good to play now. I don't need a rehab assignment. Just gonna go. Just put me
I think what happened is he played 50 games in the COVID season. He's like, this is pretty nice. This is how many games I want to play going forward.
Well, he's been out
50 to 60 games.
I went as far as was watching interviews with him. This is how far I went. I wanted to do this. And I just couldn't bring myself to do it. Ilya was like, I could tell by the slow text back, like, you're insane. What are you doing? Why are we still talking about this? And, but yeah, he definitely wants to shorten the season. He hates the long season. So now he's just got half of a season to come in, flash in a pan, win a World Series with the Yankees, and live happily ever after while Anaheim pays his contract and he laughs his way to the bank in the podium. That would make me so happy if that happened, by the way.
4 straight top 11 MVP finishes. 6, 11, 3, and 10.
So just throw Rendon in this deal. Add $6 or $7 million a year just to like.
Wait, you're getting Rengifo?
Yeah, now I am. Now that I've talked myself into it even more on a microphone, hell yeah.
The playoff rotation thing though, like I do think that is a concern for this team. Like, they have a bunch of guys that get you through a season, but like, other than Cole, you're kind of rolling the dice with whoever you throw out there for 2, 3, 4 in a playoff.
Hey man, we signed Carlos Rodon to be that guy. What are you supposed to do about that?
But he's not that guy.
What are we supposed to do about that? You got to play him.
You don't got to pitch. No, you don't pitch Carlos Rodon in a second playoff game.
He's going to pitch.
You
game
maybe
2 or 3.
pitch him.
It's going to happen. You know it's going to happen.
He's their worst pitcher.
It's going to happen.
He's their worst starter.
Hill, hopefully he's like we've seen him turn a little corner, and but who knows again like what they're going to do with him and the.
I love Luis Hill.
So do
I would feel pretty okay with him starting a playoff game. Is he still going to be pitching as a starter on October 7th? Who knows?
No, I don't know.
So that's why we wanted to get a starting pitcher, and that's why Eovaldi was so attractive, because as much as he's going to help you for the rest of the regular season, it's really for game 2 of the playoffs.
I just love the fact that you said those words out of your mouth, that you were acquiring Nathan Eovaldi and David Robertson.
I know.
2 guys. And these are
David Robertson, I wanted to re-sign.
Yeah, so did I.
Like 4 different times over the past
100%. I would take David Robertson in a heartbeat in a second.
He's striking out 13 guys per 9 innings.
I don't. So here's the thing with this. It's just I smile because 2 things that you hate. 1, Nathan Eovaldi. 2, bringing people back to the Yankees, and you did both of them.
I never hated Nathan Eovaldi. I hated your love for Nathan Eovaldi.
Okay.
There's a difference.
Nolan Ryan 2.0. Now he is.
Diet. Nolan Ryan.
Low calorie, clear Pepsi. Nolan Ryan. I think that.
How is Boone going to remember all these new names?
He has to do it anyway.
It's going to be tough.
He has to do it anyway. They're just pulling guys off. What's the difference? You're trading for people who actually have talent, or you're picking off.
At least now there's talent there so that whoever he calls out of the bullpen at least has some talent.
I'm taking some power away from Boone by giving him talent.
So you got 4 bullpen arms, we got 3 bullpen arms. We're in agreement. If they acquire anything less than 2 good bullpen arms, that is a big F for Cashman at this day.
They have to go out and fight. Like, it wouldn't surprise me. The guy that you got from Colorado, like, fine, whatever. Like, but to me, that's the same thing as what they're doing now. At least you have more of a choice, I guess, and like what they're identifying.
No, that move was purely because I wanted to acquire him in a McMahon deal, and then so I was like, oh, let's throw this in here because if it happens, that'd be a fun connection there. But really, it's Robertson and Scott are the 2 additions there. That in addition to Efros coming back, and like, so you've got a bullpen, whether it's your guys or the guys we acquired, you're keeping Holmes, Canely, Weaver, Efros coming back. At this point, you're not releasing Tonkin or anything like that. If he starts to struggle, then you move on from him. But he's been effective.
He has been, and you shouldn't mess with that right now. But like, Tim Hill, bye. Caleb Ferguson, why are you still here? Jake Cousins, I don't know. You know, he's lightning in a bottle maybe for a bit until he is not. You know, they got what's his face? The other dude that's coming back is Brubaker, who Nick Birdie, is he on the horizon?
I thought he got moved to the 60
Ian Hamilton, like these guys, I don't know what we're getting.
Ian
back.
Hamilton's value on this website is like 7 or 9 or something stupid.
Yeah, Lou Trevino, which I can't believe we're still hearing that name.
That's you guys, you know what, Efros and Lou Trevino, if they had a baby, it's Lucas Ursig.
Lucas Ursig at least has he impressed me when I watched him pitch for another
I agree.
team. You know what I'm saying? Like that is that too much to ask for? Like, I watched him pitch. I had no idea who he was. I was like, that guy's good. Mm-hmm. Get that guy. And then and then not to be shown up by the 6'5" freaking fireballer who throws right after him, who the Yankees don't have a prayer to get.
Let's ask this question. If Spencer Jones could get you Miller and Ursig from Oakland, should the Yankees do that?
I would. If Spencer Jones can get you Miller, he can't. Then you do that deal. Yes,
you really don't think he can. Like, you really don't think
he's got all the control forever. He's going to be he would be the Yankees closer.
But he's a relief
for the next
pitcher.
10 years.
What is Oakland going to do with a relief pitcher in the next 6 years?
I said the same thing, but someone else is going to pay more. That's the problem. You got to look at the competition factor of this too. It's a supply and demand. That guy is completely filthy. He's going to get they're going to get a top deal because there's going to be how many teams are selling? 3 clear teams in the National League are selling.
It's basically the bottom team in all of the divisions. Those are the only sellers.
So there's going to be a competition for him, and teams are going to give up.
Do you think baseball got the desired outcome with this expanded playoffs and sort of just like everyone in the middle kind of in it, kind of not in it? Do you think baseball likes this where the deadlines are kind of like a few teams selling and everyone... Because like I think
they prioritize the end of the season run more than the trade deadline.
Do you think they should push the trade deadline back maybe to the middle of August so that there's more time for teams to fall out of it?
Yes, I do.
Like August 15th or maybe even August 30th.
August 30th is kind of late, but even another 2 weeks.
But it's the same concept of someone like there used to be the August 31st non-waiver deadline to get someone on your roster to be eligible for the playoffs was August 31st. So you could still make that as the trade deadline.
You know, one of the problems with that argument though is that you could you could push it back, I guess. But I'm saying one of the arguments even to push it back against that and why it's going to be tough is because you're seeing teams that have these late season runs that are making deep runs into the playoffs.
Yeah, but you'll definitely have more teams.
Series.
You'll have more teams out of it on August 25th
you'll have more
than you will on July 25th.
Yes, you will have more teams out of it. So yes, I do think that is warranted because then at the end of the day, you want your playoff teams to be better, right? Yeah. So
if you want headlines as baseball, you want you also want teams. You want more buzz for longer, and so the longer
They're a month
you can
cheaper too. These players are a month cheaper if you do that as well.
to acquire. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know how much ramification that has on it might, but
No, you're
it's
not
a
literally talking
consideration.
about how much money you're paying them. You're talking about for prospect capital when you're trading. Like, well, now I'm only getting them
Both.
for 30
Both.
games, and so
It's both.
and a playoff run.
Yeah, there might be more sellers with individual players because you're like, I don't have I mean, this guy has literally a month left on the clock, so
Yeah.
just get rid of him, and you would probably see more transactions. You would definitely see more transactions.
And I think that should be the desired
That's fun.
outcome of baseball is more transactions, more headlines, more excitement.
And then also improve the teams that are going to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Because right now you're spreading that wealth out a little bit, and some of those teams may not even make it. I mean, look what happened last year with Cleveland. It was Cleveland, right? When they acquired everything from Anaheim.
Oh, yeah.
They acquired, a significant amount of players and didn't make the playoffs because it didn't work out. It just fizzled out. So you get the players that were acquired then are not even in the playoffs at that point. That's baseball can't be happy with that. You want to improve the playoff teams, obviously. So it was a tricky deadline, GM deadline, going for it. I think this time, but I'm happy with the moves that we made. I want Miller very badly. If they can figure out how to get him in some capacity, then yes, I would do it. And back to your question, like I think that's an interesting point. Spencer Jones for Miller, yes, I would do it because I think that Miller is an impact player for a very long time with the Yankees.
And it's your closer going forward.
It's your
Holmes
closer.
walks. Yeah.
Yeah. And Holmes is definitely walking. Everybody he faces.
All right, we're going to end it there. Hope you guys enjoyed the midseason GM episode. And kickoff to the second half starts on Friday. We'll be back at you again recapping that series on Monday. Talk to you then.